Shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Call She. Use that code FANArtsBaseball to get $10 when you trade 10. Carson Benge. Man, Carson Benge starting to come around, and if it's not at the plate, it's in the field. When he's not hitting, he's fielding, and when he's hitting, sometimes he's also fielding and doing both at the same time. And that's what he did on Monday for the Mets' 5:40 p.m. Eastern game, which they moved up in Colorado. A big solo homer as well. Carson Benge with another diving snag. We saw the full extension play in the ninth inning on Sunday and then again on Monday. So shout out to Carson Benge. Slow start. He's looked overmatched at times. He's still not hitting 200. So let's not, he's not lighting up the world here. But I think he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. And, due to the Mets injuries, they don't have much of a choice. They're not going to send him down with all the injuries they have. But they're really not going to send him down with the injuries. But now he's earning a shot. And he's earning his chance. And he's showing, hey, I can be that guy. And I deserve to be here. And I think that's important for Benge because I think the Mets we're getting to a point it was going to be close to them saying, you know what, we got to demote you, kid. But he's earning his keep right now. And I think Carson Benge has got to continue to play. He's playing center. He's playing right. He's played some left. He's shown you he could play all three outfield positions pretty comfortably. And yesterday it was in center he made the diving play. He's profiling to maybe be the center fielder for the Mets. Like right field, a little bit more comfortability with putting different guys there, but center field, you kind of want like a true outfielder in center field. You don't want to throw like a Jeff McNeil kind of player in center field. But Carson Benge looks good in center as well, so it's been exciting to watch. Today, tomorrow. My guess, guys, as I record this 10 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday, is that the Mets will probably rain out, or I should say snow out, today and tomorrow. Both the Mets and Rockies have an off day on Thursday. It feels like the obvious move is to just call both these games snow. Even though there's a window tomorrow, Wednesday night, with the snow, they got to clear the field. It just seems obvious that they should make this a doubleheader on Thursday. Make it, 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. They both got to fly. Mets got to get to Arizona after. It's just pretty obvious the Mets Rockies should make this a doubleheader on Thursday, where it's going to be 69 and sunny in Colorado. How about that? Snow today and tomorrow, and 69 and sunny on Thursday. So it'll be a great day for baseball, and they'll play too. Listen, it sucks for the Mets because they're on a 2-game win streak. They're trying to win their second straight series for the first time, trying to get this thing cooking, and here they are, and a storm comes down on them. I mean, that's pretty much what this season has been thus far. It's been one big storm, and now there's a legit snowstorm hitting them as they're just starting to get in a rhythm here. As Swaggy V is starting to get in a rhythm with a big 2-run hit. Swaggy V. I put the bobblehead away, and now it's back. I'm not going to give him his flowers because last time I did that, he went into a stinker. But let's hope Mark Vientos keeps it up because you're hitting the middle of the order, bro. Like, you got to. And he's doing that. Hitting home runs over the weekend. Big 2-run hit, which was the difference in the game, by the way. Yesterday, I thought it was good that they let Kimbrel get out of his own jam. Craig Kimbrel, I think, is not a leader, but he's a good veteran to have in this clubhouse, and you can see that when he got back into the dugout. He has a certain thing, like this guy's a future Hall of Famer, and he's around these guys. I think it's good that Mets, I think that's an underrated thing to have Craig Kimbrel be around this group of guys, and it's good to see him pitch well. And it's good to see the Mets trying something different. Listen, I know a lot of people joked about it. Juan Soto hitting leadoff, that's the right move. And I think with Francisco Lindor out, with Jorge Polanco out, with Ronnie Mauricio out, with all these guys out, I think Soto leadoff makes the most sense. I don't think it's crazy because, listen, when you're leadoff and if you're leading off an inning, more of a chance they're going to pitch to you than to put the first guy on with nobody out. Have him steal second, move over to third, potentially score a run with small ball, which the Mets aren't great at. But, when he's hitting second and you get the first guy out, and then if you walk Soto, big whoop, you get the next two guys out, it's just, I don't know, it changes the game in a lot of ways. And I think Soto being the high on-base guy that he is, with all the injuries, being a 400 on-base guy, that's the guy you want at the top spot. So I think Soto leadoff is the right move here for the Mets. I like it. We'll see if they keep it going. We'll see how long it goes for. I think until Lindor comes back, why not? They've been materializing, trying different things. I don't think Bo Bichette, not being a high on-base guy, I know he was doing all right in that top spot. I think he makes less sense. I like the potential of Soto Bichette. That, to me, makes a lot more sense for the Mets and just with the status of their injuries. And we'll get into those injuries in just a second. But first off, let's get into Call Sheet. Baseball season is here, and now you can trade every game on Call Sheet. The Mets are trading at, it's just around 2% to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out $3,700 with the win, trading around 65% to beat the Rockies. 60%, so $100 gets you around $160 if they win. And you can pick on any MLB market. On Call Sheet, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. Just like me, no house. As the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position for a limited time. Download the Call Sheet app and use code FANARCHBASEBALL, FANARCHBASEBALL, to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Call Sheet, trade on anything. BANANAS, bananas. Wheat, bananas, nanas. Speaking of Jorge Polanco and injuries, Jorge Polanco has begun baseball activity. He hit in BP yesterday. He is on the horizon. I think the Mets want to see how he reacts to this. We'll see if they send him on a rehab assignment. My assumption is that he will be back next week on the homestand when the Mets have the Tigers and then the Subway Series at Citi Field. I think Polanco should be back. I don't think they're going to have him back this weekend. A.J. Minter, Mets want to see him go back-to-back outings, which he'll do this week, and then he'll need a couple days off. So my guess is A.J. Minter is another guy that's probably just going to be back when the Mets return home next week. It just feels right. Just have him back when they're home. Don't bring him back, in Arizona this weekend. Now, if the Mets need an arm and Minter says, I'm good to go, maybe Saturday or Sunday we see A.J. Minter. But my guess, based on what we're reading about Minter and Polanco, is the Mets are getting one of their elite relievers and their first baseman back against the Tigers next week at Citi Field. And for Polanco, if it's not against the Tigers, maybe it's against the Yankees. But obviously they need a healthy Polanco. Hopefully he's well rested. He's better because they need him in there and they need him to hit. Like, who cares if it's fielding at this point? If Polanco's your everyday DH, great. They need that bat. They need those 25 homers. They paid this guy $20 million a year. You have Murakami and Akamoto hitting the piss out of the ball in Toronto and Chicago, and you got Polanco still, injured. I'd like to see him healthy and hitting before I kind of write off the deal. Right now, it looks like a disgrace. It looks like you should have signed Murakami Akamoto. You scouted him. You didn't sign him. Not sure why. Maybe they didn't want to come to New York. We don't know. But, Polanco at the moment's looking bad, but I think we need to give him a fair shake and see him healthy. So don't rush it, but when he gets back, he better start hitting. No more excuses. Sadly, we lost John Sterling yesterday. Rest in peace to the iconic, the legendary Yankee broadcaster for many, many years, passing away at 87 years old. Just retiring last year, and now in retirement, he passes away. And, this is a guy that is one of the most iconic voices in sports. Not just the Yankees win. On Monday, the Mets win, and a great tribute by Keith Rad on Mets radio to John Sterling. And, he's a guy that when I produced at the New York Post, we had him on, and, we had another producer, set him up with a laptop at his apartment. And it was so cool seeing him on the screen because, one, he did not know how to work technology at all. I'm pretty sure he had a flip phone or something. He was not good with technology. But to just... The voice, you hear it, it's just like a Walter Cronkite kind of old school radio voice. And the milkman always knocks twice will always be one of my favorites from when Melky Cabrera would homer for the Yankees. Now, obviously, we don't like the Yankees here. We don't really talk about the Yankees much, but I'd be doing a disservice if we didn't honor John Sterling today. And when you think of the Yankees, you think of John Sterling. You think of Susan Waldman, you think of John Sterling. When you think of baseball broadcasters, John Sterling's one of the first names. You think Gary, Keith, and Ron. You think Michael Kay. But then you think about John Sterling. You think about Howie Rose, obviously, in his final year here. And what a career it was for Sterling. And this guy loved life, according to all accounts. And he loved baseball. He loved the Yankees. He loved calling the games. And a piece of the Yankees booth went missing. Now, Sims does a great job. in the booth, but obviously Sterling is a very tough voice to replace, and what a career. So R.I.P. to John Sterling. We'll close out the show with a few of your comments before we say goodbye. Heading to New York in just a couple of minutes, so I got to get out of here. We will be watching the Knicks. Let's go Knicks. Big win last night. Dr. Manhattan says, time to move on from Alvarez. Yeah, I don't know about that yet because, the Mets are thinking to themselves, we might as well keep going with Alvarez while he's cheap. If there's another catcher, maybe it becomes available in the trade market. Maybe we go that route. If like an Adley Rutschman became available, you consider that. But I don't know if the Mets are in a position they want to move on yet from Alvarez. But, that lineup certainly works with Torrens catcher, Alvarez DH. That's what I've been clamoring for. Now, the issue is if there's an injury, if that happens, you don't have Sanger on the roster right now. But I think that's the best Mets lineup is when Alvarez is DHing and when Torrens is catching. It's best defensively and the best offensively. But I think just because Alvarez is so cheap, I'm not sure, Doctor, if they're going to do that. Ivan says, call up Pache or Ewing. You were right. Play the kids. The kids are more productive than Taylor. Yeah, listen, I again, we sound like a broken record. We like Tyrone Taylor, a good player. He's not an everyday player. He shouldn't be starting 4 times a week for the Mets. And if that's the case, they're in trouble. You'd rather see A.J. Ewing get out in the big leagues than Tyrone Taylor get out in the big leagues. And if it's Pache, that's fine too. But Mets got to come to a point here where they say, you know what, you're right. Let's forget the clocks, forget the super contract, whatever it is. So forget calling him. We called Benge up with 40 AAA at bats, and we gave him a shot because he had a good spring. Let's give Ewing a shot. And I think with the injury situation, and we're not sure the timeline of Luis Robert, I think it's going to be a while, to be honest. I think it's a no-brainer to get Ewing up here. Oscar said, R.I.P. John Sterling, we'll miss you and your amazing calls. We sure will. You had to be entertained by them as a Met fan. It was just very entertaining to hear his calls. And we'll miss John Sterling. And we will miss you as we talk to you tomorrow. I expect the Mets, again, like I said, to be snowed out today, snowed out tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you later right here on Mets Daily. Make sure you smash that thumbs up on this video. Hit that subscribe button. Comment, as we always read your comments. We'll have guests coming up soon. And make sure you hit that subscribe. Subscribe, share, and follow me, please, at Jake Brown Live. Thanks for watching.